Okay, so do you think that celebrity pastors can ever be good people?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely.
Do you know any of them?
Do I know any celebrity pastors? I think that'd be like the first question.
Not know any, but what's a good one?
Right. I do have a rule. I will say this.
You're taking too long.
Okay. I have a rule that it's really hard to trust people you don't know.
Okay.
And as far as celebrity pastors, like the big name pastors, so I'm trying to think of people that I would be willing to endorse.
All right. Well, next question.
Yeah. I'm drawing blanks, man.
Cool.
I'm drawing blanks.
None of them?
Like, I know, like, because I think there's a difference between like a mega church pastor and a celebrity pastor.
Okay.
So in other words, there's mega church pastors that I do know that I have the highest, most utmost respect for them, their character. So pastors that I know that are pastoring churches of thousands.
So what's happening right now is, since
people.
you don't know them well enough, you don't want to endorse them here on the podcast and say they're good people in the off chance that there's a HBO documentary next week about them?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is I know people who are in mega churches. They're pastoring mega churches.
Right.
What would be known as a mega church. So a church of 1,000 people, 2,000 people, 3,000 people,
Mhm.
right? Then there's the celebrity pastors.
Right.
And that's like a different jump. That's
Okay.
a different level.
All right.
I know pastors, like, even in my doctoral program, pastors that are overseeing churches of thousands of people, like,
Okay.
and like, but they're not celebrity names. You wouldn't know them.
Okay.
But then, when I think of like the celebrity pastors, and I'm thinking of like Andy Stanley, Stephen Furtick, that group.
Hmm?
I don't know if you've heard of them either.
Okay.
But like Andy Stanley, Stephen Furtick, they're like huge names in the Christian worlds. And even in like Andy Stanley is really big in like in leadership, in the leadership world too.
I think I know who that is.
Okay. Yeah, but
Yeah.
his father was Charles Stanley,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a big, well-known preacher in the Southern Baptist Convention.
He's on YouTube a bunch.
Andy is, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, so individuals like Andy, individuals like Stephen Furtick, like Joel Osteen, that whole group, like, nah, I couldn't endorse any of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no good ones.
That I am aware of.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then I guess the next question is, should there ever be any? Should there ever be a celebrity? Should the title of celebrity pastor
Exist.
ever be applied to anyone?
I just don't think it was ever intended to be that way.
Okay.
Like, and I get it. Jesus was known by people.
Mhm.
Like, and I get it. But here's, I guess, the problem. I think it all goes back to church models. And what I mean by that is kind of on two fronts. One, I don't think churches were ever intended to be thousands of people.
Right. Okay.
I think that was probably like one of the more foundational issues we have, that we've allowed churches to become big. And it's like, and the idea is the bigger they are, the better they are.
But is that the way that all celebrity pastors become celebrity pastors? By having huge churches first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually the progression is big church, big presence on social media, which elevates them even more. Celebrity pastor, like
Affair.
whether it's affairs, whether it's like in the case of someone like Mark Driscoll, he didn't have an affair, but he just, he was asked to step down because of just the way that he treated people.
Okay.
Like, he was just running the church. He was just running over people constantly. Anger, bitter, putting people down, like that's kind of his thing. Demeaning toward people. And so, and then you have individuals like Stephen Furtick that just has terrible theology. I don't know what he's like as a person, I don't know that, right? But oh my God. Like, and I think that's kind of part of it. Like you run into like Stephen Furtick's that have terrible doctrine and theology, or Joel Osteen's the exact same way. And it's just like, oh my God, like this is horrible. Like people shouldn't be listening to these people.
Nope. Or be around them. or look them in the face.
Well, you can be around them. Still, don't take what they say. But anyway, so
don't go near.
Yeah. So I think that there's I think that that's one problem, is just that the celebrity status has just, I mean, churches have allowed it to grow so big that there's celebrity status attached to that. And I think that's unhealthy. Like, I don't think a church, like we shouldn't have 1,000 member churches. That's too big. And if you're sitting here like asking me like, well, what's the exact number? I don't know, but I know they're not going to be that big. Like that's just huge. Like that's a massive organization at that point.
Right.
And I think that's problematic on one end. And then the other part of it is we've really bought into like this solo hero leader. Like they're leading the church. And again, there's no accountability. There's no board. There's no elders. There's nobody holding their feet to the fire with accountability and with oversight. And they're kind of just allowed to do what they want to do. And I just think that's horribly unhealthy for that person. Because I think there's plenty of well-meaning pastors who maybe their churches really begin to grow, or they're brought into a church that's really growing and larger, and they're given so much power.
Yeah.
And they eventually, that power becomes their undoing. And because there's no oversight to it, they're used to just always getting their way. It's like, well, this is our vision, or, God's vision, my vision, and just get on board or leave. And then if people don't get on board, they fire them.
Right.
Or remove them from the board, or remove them as being elders. And what I'm saying is, so therefore the pastor has all the authority. If he can just remove board members, elders, fire people, and he's doing it all himself, that is a horrible situation for that pastor, because he's just been given way too much power and control. And I think instead of that solo hero leader mentality, there should be shared leadership. There should be a plurality of elders, like a pastor, and you may be the preacher most Sundays or whatever, or even be labeled senior pastor. That's fine, but there should be elders around him that are shepherding the church with him and holding him accountable, where he knows he's not above those elders. So anyway, I think if those two things were in place, it probably would prevent the celebrity thing from happening. But no, I don't think it's very healthy. And I think it's really hard for the ones who are put into that place.